Hello, Tech families. Welcome to the math lesson scheduled for Friday, May 20th, 2020. Today, we will focus on Number Corner Checkup 4, Part 2. As I mentioned just previously, the focus for today is to be completing Part 2 of your Number Corner Checkup, which you began yesterday. Now, there are a couple of things that we need to keep in mind as we're finishing our test today, but before we do that, right now, make sure that you're in a quiet room so that you're able to clearly hear all of the directions. If you're not in a quiet room yet, go ahead and pause the video to find a quiet space and press play once you're in that quiet space. Now that you are all in a quiet space, just want to remind you of some of the things to keep in mind as we read through each problem. Be sure to listen carefully to the directions for each problem. Some of the steps you may think you know, but listen very carefully because we are making some changes because, of course, we're in the virtual world now. We're not in the classroom. So make sure you listen fully to the directions before completing each problem. Don't move ahead until instructed to do so. As I just mentioned, there's going to be some parts that might be a little bit tricky. And so make sure that you fully hear the directions before completing any steps. Make sure that you are working independently in a quiet workspace. Say independently. Good. And what that means is that you are showing what you know. You're not asking people for help because this is our opportunity to learn from you, to see what we need to work on with you. So make sure that you're completing the entire test independently without asking for help completing the work. If you need to have anything repeated, be sure to rewind the video and answer all questions. Even if you don't fully understand the question, be sure to answer it. That way you can still try to get some points here and there. And lastly, always, always, always use pictures, numbers, or words in your explanations. In order to complete today's assessment, you're going to need a pencil, Number Corner Checkup Part 2, which you can find on the website, questions 6 through 10. And if you don't have the access to a printer to print off Number Corner Checkup Part 2, you'll need a few sheets of paper. Don't stress too much if you're not able to print it. I'm going to go through each page on how to write it on a separate sheet of paper. You can pause the video now to gather all of those materials. When you have gathered all of the materials and you're in a quiet space, sitting up nice and tall with your eyes on the screen, you can press play to get ready to start the test. Just as a final reminder before you begin the test, make sure that you work independently the entire time, which means you're not asking your family members for any help answering any of the questions on the test. If you need the directions reread to you, be sure to just rewind the video. And now it is time to show what you know. Say it. All right, make sure you're sitting up tall. Make sure your eyes stay on the screen and get ready to start your Number Corner 4 assessment. If you are ready for the challenge, say, oh yeah. Number 6, write an equation to match each story problem. Solve the equation. Use numbers, pictures, or words to show your thinking. A, there are 32 green marbles and 20 blue marbles in the bag. Marcus put 14 more marbles in the bag. How many marbles are in the bag now? If you don't have the paper printed, you're going to make your paper look just like mine. Go ahead and pause the video now to solve A, and I will read it one more time. There are 32 green marbles and 20 blue marbles in the bag. Marcus put 14 more marbles in the bag. How many marbles are in the bag now? Pause now to complete Part A. Once you have completed Part A and you've double-checked your work, press play, and then I will read Part B. Pause the video now and go to work. If you pressed play to resume the video, use this time now to double-check your work. We'll spend about a few more moments here and then I will read Part B. Pause the video now to double check your work. Part B. There were 44 candies in the box. Jenny ate 20 of the candies. Then her friend gave her 6 more candies. How many candies does Jenny have now? I'm going to read it one more time. There were 44 candies in the box. Jenny ate 20 of the candies. Then her friend gave her 6 more candies. How many candies does Jenny have now? Go ahead and press pause to solve and then press play when you are ready to move on. Be sure to double check your work. For number 7, if you don't have the printed version of Number Corner Checkup 4, go ahead and pause the video now to make your paper look exactly like mine. For number 7, you're going to be answering A, B, and C. For number 8, you'll need to draw a square and then write A and B. Please go ahead and pause to make your paper match mine and press play when you are ready to hear the directions. Number 7, follow the directions below to partition, split, or divide this rectangle into rows and columns of same size squares. A. How many squares are there in each row? How many squares are there in each row? Go ahead and pause the video now to fill in your answer to A. B. How many rows are there in each column? How many squares are there in each column? Go ahead and pause the video now to write down your answer. C. Write an equation to tell how many squares in all. Go ahead and pause the video now to write down your equation and press play when you are ready to hear number 8. Number 8. Use the square to do the problems below. If you don't have the printed copy, you're going to use the square that you drew in. A. Partition, split, or divide the square into 2 equal shares. Use your ruler to help if you like. Go ahead and pause the video now to partition the square into 2 equal shares, using your ruler to help if you'd like. B. What is the fraction name of each part? Go ahead and pause the video now to write your answer. What is the fraction name of each part? Be sure to pause now and press play once you have answered part B. For number 9 and 10, if you don't have the printed version, please pause the video now to make your paper match mine. Number 9. Sarah had 2 sandwiches that were exactly the same size. She cut each sandwich into 4 equal shares like this. What is the fraction name of each part of sandwich 1? Pause the video now to write down your answer. And press play once you have written it down. B. What is the fraction name of each part of sandwich 2? Go ahead and pause the video to write in your answer, and then press play when you are ready to resume. C. Sarah says that one of the parts of sandwich 1 is exactly the same amount as one of the parts of sandwich 2. Do you agree with Sarah? Use pictures, numbers, or words to prove your answer. Go ahead and pause now to write your answer. Be sure to use pictures, numbers, or words to prove your answer. Press pause now and then play when you are ready to move on. Number 10. Troy's grandma made a giant cake for Troy and his two little brothers. She gave Troy a knife and asked him to split the pancake so that all three of the boys get exactly the same amount. A. Troy isn't sure how to cut the pancake. Draw on this circle to show him how. The dot in the middle of the circle is a blueberry. You can pause the video now to draw on the circle to show Troy how to cut the pancake and press play once you have drawn how to cut it. B. What is the fraction name of each part of the pancake? You can press pause now to answer the question and then play when you are finished. This now concludes our Number Corner 4 checkup. I strongly suggest that you go through to make sure that you have answered every question. So right now, I'm going to briefly flip through each page so that you can double check that you have answers for all parts. Right now, check your paper to make sure you've answered 6A and written your equation, and that you've answered 6B and written your equation. If you have, you can give me a thumbs up. If not, pause the video now to answer all parts of Part A and Part B. Moving on to number 7. Make sure that you have parts A, B, and C, which is the equation to tell how many squares in all, answered. If you do have all of those filled in, you can give me a thumbs up. If not, go ahead and pause the video now to answer all parts. Moving on to number 8. Make sure for part A that you have partitioned the square into 2 equal shares and answered part B. If you've done that, you can give me a thumbs up. If not, pause the video to complete those steps. Moving on to the last page, make sure that you have filled in the blanks for A and B, and then for part C, Sarah says that one of the parts of sandwich 1 is exactly the same amount as one of the parts of sandwich 2. Do you agree with Sarah? Use pictures, numbers, or words to prove your answer. Make sure you've answered if you agree with Sarah and used pictures, numbers, or words to prove your answer. If you've already done that, give me a thumbs up. If not, pause the video now to complete that step. Moving on to number 10. Make sure you've completed parts A and B. For part A, I'll read that again. Troy isn't sure how to cut the pancake. Draw on this circle to show him how. The dot in the middle of the circle is a blueberry. And then part B, what is the fraction name of each part of the pancake? If you've already done both of these steps, you can give me a thumbs up. If not, pause the video to make sure that you've answered A and B. Now that we've double checked that we've answered every single question, you are now finished with your Number Corner 4 checkup. Be sure to take a picture and upload a picture to Class Dojo. Thank you so much for taking time to learn with me. I hope to see all of you soon. Bye.